catch me howling at the moon.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got kind of a different video for you guys. With the new year arriving, I thought it'd be cool to give you guys a look back at my 2019 coaster season by giving you a ranking of the 15 best new coasters I went on in 2019. 2019 was a great year for me, as it was probably the first year I got back into being a coaster enthusiast since probably 2013. It also was the first time in 6 or 7 years that I've done multiple trips to go to theme parks and ride roller coasters. In 2019, I visited 12 parks and rode 40 new coasters. And after all that, I think it's safe to say I'll be back in the coaster community for good this time. Before I get started on the rankings, I wanted to give you guys a rundown of all the parks I visited in 2019. In March, I visited San Antonio over my spring break. On that trip, I had a great day and a half at Six Flags San Antonio, where I enjoyed light crowds and picked up 10 new coaster credits. In early June, I took a trip to Ireland after my college graduation, and I got to spend an afternoon picking up some rare credits at TAYTO Park, a fairly new amusement park located outside of Dublin. Later that June, I took a trip down to Branson, Missouri to spend 2 days at Silver Dollar City. After a stop in Omaha to see the College Baseball World Series, I dropped in for a few hours at Adventureland in Des Moines, Iowa on my way home. In late July, I took an impromptu trip to Kentucky Kingdom and Holiday World with my friend Paul from Ohio Valley Coasters. It was my first trip to Kentucky Kingdom and my first visit back to Holiday World since 2011. In September, I did a one-day trip to Six Flags New England, where I flew from Chicago in the morning, did a couple hours at the park, and flew right back that night. You can check out that video above. On top of all that, I made about a dozen trips to my home park, Six Flags Great America, and 3 trips to another park I consider to be my second home park, Worlds of Fun in Kansas City. There you have it, the highlights of my 2019 coaster season. I had a great year, and I look forward to having an even bigger 2020. But, without further ado, here are the 15 best new coasters I rode in 2019. Keep in mind that this is not a list of the top coasters I've ever been on, but the best of the 40 new coasters I rode for the first time in 2019. I hope to have a video out about my top overall coaster ranking sometime before the 2020 season begins. Starting off at number 15, we have Outlaw at Adventureland. This 1993 CCI Woody is one that surprised me on my trip to Adventureland in June. Outlaw is only 67 feet tall, but rips through its layout at 48 miles per hour and gives some great laterals. It's not uncommon to have a tough time finding this coaster, as it's tucked into the back of the park. It's a simple wooden coaster that doesn't do anything too spectacular, but it's a lot of fun and a solid number 2 at the park. I was expecting it to be a one and done ride, but I found myself hopping back in line for 3 more rides on this classic Woody. Number 14, WILDFIRE at Silver Dollar City. My first ever trip to Silver Dollar City in late June was probably the highlight of my 2019. I think WILDFIRE, a B&M sit-down coaster, is a ride that embodies what makes this park such a special place. WILDFIRE is a solid B&M coaster itself, but its setting up in the Ozark Mountains is what makes this coaster and park so breathtaking. WILDFIRE is your typical sit-down looper, hitting inversion after inversion and giving a fun ride in the process, but riding this coaster during a midsummer sunset while being elevated above the trees in the lake was one of my best coaster moments of 2019. Number 13, Superman Krypton Coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Speaking of B&Ms with a breathtaking setting, Superman Krypton Coaster is a floorless coaster sitting on the edge of Fiesta, Texas's quarry wall. The ride starts with the pre-drop that takes you atop the quarry wall and drops you along its rocky side into the rest of the layout. This ride has more going for it than just its setting though, as it has one of the more unique layouts and is more intense than a lot of the other floorless coasters I've experienced. The ride also has less of a rattle than a lot of other B&Ms, which is impressive since it's been operating at the park since 2000. Number 12, Powder Keg at Silver Dollar City. Powder Keg is a quirky coaster that has a launch, a lift hill, and plenty of twists and turns in between. If you're looking for a coaster that's just pure fun, you're not going to find many better than Powder Keg. It's a smooth coaster, it has unrestricted restraints, and it's got a great combination of speed and airtime. Although this S&S compressed air launch coaster plays second or third fiddle at Silver Dollar City, depending on who you ask, this is a coaster that makes me eager to make a trip back to Branson in 2020 or 2021. Number 11, MAXX Force at Six Flags Great America. This new for 2019 S&S Air launch coaster holds multiple records, including having the fastest acceleration on a launch coaster in the US. I was fortunate enough to attend MAXX Force's Media Day on July 2nd before the coaster opened to the public. My initial reaction to the ride was pure shock. You can see the entirety of my reaction video above. MAXX Force has one of the more intense launches I've experienced on a coaster, and the 0G roll you hit at 60 miles per hour is one of my favorite inversions ever. Although it does suffer from being a short ride, it's still a breathtaking experience, and getting early access to ride this coaster was definitely a highlight of my season. Number 10, Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Some people may be shocked to see this RMC single rail so high on my list, but to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of this ride. It's an insane coaster, featuring a 90-degree vertical drop and 3 fast-paced inversions that blow your mind, especially in the back seat. But the elements happen so rapidly, you can hardly catch your breath, which I don't necessarily find to be a good thing. This is a great coaster, don't get me wrong, but not one I'm super high on personally. Number 9, Thunderbird at Holiday World. Thunderbird was the only credit I was missing from Holiday World when I visited the park for the first time in 8 years this past summer. I've been on 3 of the 4 B&M wing coasters in the United States, and Thunderbird is by far the best of the bunch. While the launch isn't that intense, you hit the Immelman at a great speed, and the section of track between that and the vertical loop gives some great forces. Another highlight of this ride is the 0G roll through the trees, and the keyhole finale is a great ending. When they announced Thunderbird in 2015, I was hesitant of Holiday World breaking their identity of only having major wooden coasters, but there's no denying this was a great fit for the park. Number 8, Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom. Lightning Run was the first coaster I went on during my first ever trip to Kentucky Kingdom in July. I came into this coaster with high expectations, hearing nothing but great things about it. The Chance Hyper GTX coaster completely lived up to it. Lightning Run whips you through its compact layout, giving some great ejector moments in the process. I will say the ride does get a bit jerky in some spots, but all in all, it's amazing that a coaster of this proportion gives such an intense ride. Number 7, CHULAINN at TAYTO Park. I got this rare credit on my June trip to TAYTO Park in Dublin, Ireland. This 2015 Gravity Group Woody is named after an Irish mythological hero. It has a masterfully designed 3,500-foot layout that includes a 105-foot first drop and a 115-degree overbank curve. This coaster has no shortage of airtime, as it feels like there's an ejector moment every few seconds. Airtime is really what makes this coaster great, as the ride features multiple double downs and double ups throughout its course. Sprinkle in a few tunnels and a beautifully themed Timberliner train, and there's no wonder why this ride holds a firm spot in my top 10 wooden coasters. Number 6, Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City. I spoke at length about Time Traveler in my Silver Dollar City rankings video, so if you want my more complete thoughts on this coaster, click the link above or check out that video once you're done here. But to sum it up, Time Traveler is a completely disorienting coaster that's an endless amount of fun and one of the more re-rideable coasters out there. There really needs to be more of these mock extreme spinning coasters built soon, preferably in the US. Just cracking the top 5, at number 5 we have Monster at Adventureland. This is a coaster that actually lives up to its name. This thing truly is a monster. The 2015 Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster was Adventureland's first new coaster in nearly 20 years, and it really lives up to the hype. The ride sits right in the center of the park, and the vertical lift hill and beyond vertical drop tower above Adventureland's skyline. The ride is crazy smooth, and you float through its 5 inversions so gracefully, giving a really pleasant riding experience. In POVs I've seen of Monster, it seems like the ride usually crawls through its course, but on the day that I went, it was around 90 degrees, so this thing was hauling. Even running faster than usual, the ride still gives great hang time on a few of its inversions. Monster is the best Gerstlauer coaster I've been on at the time of this video, and I say it's definitely worth the stop on your next Midwest coaster trip. Number 4, Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City. Outlaw Run is an incredible ride through the wilderness. It's a ride that has a good balance of RMC magic while still feeling like a true wooden coaster. I rode a lot of new RMCs in 2019, and this one has the most unique feel out of all of them, excluding maybe Wonder Woman. I also talked a lot about Outlaw Run in my Silver Dollar City rankings video, so check the link in the description for my full thoughts on this ride. Number 3, Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom. Storm Chaser is a ride that I came in not knowing a lot about. I knew about its iconic barrel roll drop, but that was about it. The first few elements on this ride are pure insanity. The barrel roll drop is crazy, and you get amazing ejector on the first hill. After that, it's a few great twists and turns into another ejector hill and an amazing 0G roll. The second half of this ride is a little weak in my opinion, especially compared to other RMCs, but this is an elite coaster that doesn't get enough credit in the community. I rode this coaster 11 times in less than 2 hours, and I never got sick of it. You'll definitely find me back in Louisville in 2020 to lap this thing some more. Number 2, Wicked Cyclone at Six Flags New England. The reason I rank Wicked Cyclone above Storm Chaser is because Wicked Cyclone's layout feels a lot more purposeful. It has great ejector airtime and smooth inversions, just like all RMCs do, but Wicked Cyclone takes 3 laps within its compact footprint and never misses a beat throughout its entire ride. Every element feels like it serves a purpose, every twist and turn keeps you guessing, and despite being only 109 feet tall, this thing hauls through its 3,300 feet of track. Considering how small the scale of the original Cyclone coaster was, I think Wicked Cyclone is some of Alan Schilke's best work. This is a balls-to-the-wall, relentlessly fun coaster, which sits somewhere on the edge of my top 5 steel coasters. The number 1 new coaster I rode in 2019 was Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Iron Rattler was one of RMC's earliest creations, but I find it to be one of their best. In fact, I rank Iron Rattler as the second best RMC I've been on to date, just behind Steel Vengeance. I love everything about this ride. The theme, the Gerstlauer trains, which I much prefer to the new RMC trains, everything. Not to mention that it is a kick-ass coaster. Diving up and down the quarry wall at 70 miles per hour is absolute insanity. It has a couple of really good ejector moments, and the 0G roll you hit at the top of the quarry is incredible. You lose just a little bit of speed at this part of the ride, giving you a chance to catch your breath for a second, but shortly thereafter, you hit an amazing ejector hill as you dive right back down into the quarry and into the tunnel for the grand finale. I love everything about this coaster, and the only possible thing I could think of that would maybe make it better is maybe if it was a little bit longer. Nevertheless, it currently holds a firm spot in my top 5 overall coasters. Iron Rattler was the best new coaster I rode in 2019, and if this was a ranking of the best overall coaster I rode in 2019, I'd put it toe-to-toe with Voyage at Holiday World. There you have it. These are the 15 best new coasters I rode in 2019. If you made it this far in the video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up below. Please consider subscribing if you're a fan of roller coasters and amusement parks. Thanks again for checking out the video, and I hope to see you all again soon.